Suresh Tenny, I want to ask you about this album, this one, Hollow Dreams, and
Yeah. Oh my.
about
You have those.
your memories of recording this stuff and
Yeah.
putting out those albums. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you remember about this? Can you talk a
Oh.
little bit about them?
Yeah. Basically, we were in a school uniform, carrying guitar amps and guitars and going to Uncle Shobi's studio. In Kohuala.
Sohan and the
We used to
Experiments.
call him Uncle.
Um,
Yeah, Sohan and the Experiments, they had a studio and we go there and we used to call Shobi Uncle Shobi when we were in college. We still can call him Uncle Shobi. But
No, we started off calling him Mr. Shobi. And as the relationship got better, it became Uncle Shobi. And then it became Shobi. And then it became Bro. And now it's Macha.
I mean, we just collected canteen cash. All the guys in the band, right? We collected our canteen cash and put it together. And when we have enough cash to go and record to the studio, we head to the studio in our uniform, carrying our amps and guitars and stuff like that. And we go and like I can remember we were trying to record and the sound was really bad. And we're like, why is it sounding so bad? Why isn't it sounding like Creed or like, the guitar sounds so bad? Like, I can't get that sound. And,
Oh,
it
and,
was so
and
bad.
also how we were trying to record 2-3 songs in one day. Everything.
And in one
Right?
day. Yeah. And we didn't even have a guitar amp. Like we had one guitar amp, but we tried recording straight and then that sounded like something from like, I don't know, like the 70s, like a video game or something like the guitars are like so thin. We just plugged it to we had a bass amp which we used like Andrew had an amp. I have it here actually. It's called a Ross amp. It's a bass amp, and we recorded all our guitars on that bass amp. And to this day, everything on those two albums are recorded on that Ross amp or Ross bass amp, which is my and recorded. And I had a Boss DS1. There was those orange color things.
Butter
Orange
pedals.
color pedals, butter pedals. So like very hardy ones. I just had one of those to record all my guitars and stuff like that. And back in the day, only Andrew had an electric guitar. So I didn't have electric guitar. I used to practice on box guitar, and he used to have an electric. So I think Hollow Dreams we recorded around 3 times, all over again. Like in 3 years, I don't know whether it's 3 years, but in like every 6 months we are going into the studio and we are listening to it and we are like, oh my god, that sounds so bad. Because to be honest, we didn't like until we went to the studio, we couldn't even play our instruments to a metronome. Our drummer couldn't play to a metronome. This was like way
Yeah.
ages ago. There was nobody to tell us, okay, if you're a musician, you need to start practicing with a metronome. If you're going to a studio, it's very important to use a metronome so that you can record your tracks properly. Like we had no idea. And like to be honest, I don't know how we recorded these albums. I think it was such a crazy moment because we were living in Mount. We had to go to Kovala. So sometimes, like we are like carrying our stuff, walking towards Dehivala. We don't have cash for a tuk-tuk or stuff like that. In the night, we call one of the tuk-tuk guys, pay him later. And sometimes Andrew's dad picks us up. Like, we are like
Why
heavy
the
metal
first
band
day
gets
we
picked
went,
up by
the,
Andrew's
the
dad.
first day we went, Shobi dropped us back home, Macha.
Oh yeah, in the night we finished the recording. Yeah. Sometimes Uncle Shobi drops us.
And I'll never forget because and it's cool because he used to convert it, what we recorded that then, we used to listen to it in his car while going back.
Yeah.
And he used to always tell us, you boys y'all are crazy buggers, man. Where does the producer drop the band back home? and we are small buggers, right? So he's dropping each of us in our houses.
We are like 16, 17, in school uniform,
one
We
of
didn't
my
know anything about recording, no?
yeah, one of my favorite songs out of that. I like the Hollow Dreams songs, all the songs, but one song that is always, I even play now is Andura.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, so that was a crazy one, bro, because like all the Hollow Dreams tracks, Suresh, he had box guitars back in the day. You had about three box guitars, no? So he's the one who wrote all the Hollow Dreams stuff, like all the melodies, like everything was there. So Andrew came, he just jammed on it, wrote all the solo stuff. Then according to the solos, I had to put some chords. And most of the songs, I would say somewhere down the line on in like A minor or something, because that's the only chords I knew how to play properly. A minor, F, G, G, A minor, F, G, G, somewhere closer to that. Right, on a box guitar I used to practice. That's the only chords I knew. Apart from that, one of the independent square guys, he showed me, okay, these are power chords. So then we got to actually learn about, okay, so you had to get that metal sound, you need to put some distortion and play a power chord. So then only you get that sound like this, and then you palm mute it, right? So then even those are really no, bro. So even those are like, why isn't it sounding like like a Creed track or like a Metallica or like it's
Yeah,
not there.
remember
So
we
then,
were
yeah,
remember
we
we
were
were
like,
kids, man. We
we
had
were
no
kids, bro.
none of us
We
came
had no
from
idea
musical
about,
backgrounds, Macha. None of
yeah,
us
none
came
of us
from
were.
backgrounds where like normally, Machang, in the music biz here in Sri Lanka, even you have a generation or two of musicians in the family, Machang.
right.
Like Tenny, Andrew, and I, Machang. Like, okay, my grandma was the only, my dad's mom was the only one, Machang, uh, to my knowledge, had any musical talent in my family. She was the first organist in
Right.
a Methodist church in Sri Lanka, Machang, in Nigam. Other than that, Tenny also, I don't know. Background, Andrew also.
No, definitely. I think my mom played some keyboards when she was like when I was really small. But then I don't think I can play keyboards. Like to this date, man, I can't play anything apart from a guitar and maybe a bass, like little bit of drums. Maybe I can't play keyboards. Like, I get scared when I see those white and black lines going there. Like, whoa, oh my God, all of them look same. So yeah. So going back to the memory part, that was crazy because we there was a play which was happening, bro, back in the day. Delon's play.
Mm.
It
Thicker
was
than blood.
about Thicker Than Blood. The play was called Thicker Than Blood, and that I can remember Thicker Than Blood riff. That was that song was specifically we were focusing on writing for that play. Like
That and
we
Dying
were in
Winter
college.
Sleeps.
Yeah, that Dying in Sleep. So both those tracks were basically written for that play, and I guess we're like one of the first metal or rock bands to actually get a chance to compose for a play. I mean, yeah, I guess,
For a play, and mind
yeah,
you, he won the Gratian Awards for that play, for the script, and he
Right.
also was one of the few Sri Lankans invited by the London Theatre to perform the production, Macha. And we did the soundtrack. So other than Thicker Than Blood and
yeah,
Dying Winter Sleeps, we also did the instrumental music throughout the play, Macha. So the play starts with Thicker Than Blood, and the play ends with Dying Winter Sleeps. That's how we did it.
Right.
So we composed those songs for the play, and they turned out so well that we decided we will include those songs on the album, Macha.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how it happened. So even Anduram, talking about Anduram, that was like I can remember going back. We were in Suresh's room. Like I was living with Suresh.
No,
Basically
not
after
my place. Andrew's balcony, Templars Road.
yeah, Templars Road, and then I can remember jamming in the room also because it's either Andrew's place or Suresh's place. We used to like come together and like it's crazy. Like it's not just one jam. You just jam several times and figure out okay what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. And best thing is like every time we jam, sometimes it sounds different. Most probably because we didn't know how to keep like remember parts. We're playing for like half an hour, then you're like, some of this stuff sounded nice. But okay, let's try again. Then another half an hour we're like jamming, and then we can't remember what happened. So that's how like sometimes it goes because we were not like disciplined musicians. Like, okay, let's remember this 1 minute, then record it somewhere on a cassette or something like that. So like that jam happened like so often, and then finally we had to decide, okay, we're gonna call it something, and it sounds kind of cool. We're gonna do it our way, and that would be really cool because that would be like the first idea of something Sri Lankan which happened with a Sri Lankan kind of influence and a tune and a groove. To
Right.
to be honest, and to this day, I mean that song is on 3 chords: that's A minor, F, G. I mean, those are the 3 chords I knew to play back in, like knew to play back in the day, and even the solo and everything just felt perfectly fine in those 3 chords. That was magical, you know. So
Actually, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, Tenny.
Yeah. So I think that jam to this day, loads of people like young guitarists to like most some bands to like even guys who play keyboards sometimes even like even different instruments, they do their own rendition of that Andura inspired kind of a part.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, like instrumental wise something happened there, like
Channa, I think
even yeah
I think it's the most covered our version of
jam.
Andura. Our
Yeah.
version of Andura neve. Andura is our song.
Andura is
Our
ours.
version of the Gajabhavan rather.
Right.
Yeah.
And Andura Machang is
Yeah.
probably, I would say that and Voices and Lucid are probably 3 of the most covered songs, Machang, in this country across any genre, where people use it for talent shows, they use it for jingles, all kinds of shit. We never get credit. And Andura Machang, people have got married to that shit, bro. They've walked in for Andura Machang. Also,
Hopefully didn't get divorced also.
maybe. I think that's extinction. But what I want to say is Andura was also used by Kumar Sangakkara for his final one-day international cricket match when he walked into the ground. Thank God, not when he got out and walked out. When he walked into the ground, they played Andura. So this has had a massive cross-cultural impact, Machang, and I don't know, man. It annoys the living hell out of Tenny and me sometimes because there is more to Stigmata, so much more to Stigmata than Andura. But we know people love it. We know people enjoy it. I guess it's like Black Sabbath and Paranoid, right? Or like
yeah.
I
like,
guess it's like
yeah,
Led
Paranoid.
Zeppelin.
We love Paranoid.
It's like Led Zeppelin and Stairway to Heaven, where you remember at one point Led Zeppelin boycotted Stairway to Heaven. You remember, like how the West was won at one point, like at shows, like even BBC, they were like, "We're not playing Stairway to Heaven. We're not playing Stairway to Heaven." Right? So we are happy at the song's success, but I think our trepidation over it is much that maybe there is there's a whole bunch of people who have not opened their hearts and minds outside Andura. Like Machan, the amount of people we meet were like Machan, Andura Maru, Machan, Andura Machan, Ape Jam Mega Machan, Andura Machan, this, Andura that, Andura this. And then some buggers will be like, Machan, me Andura Vage Tava Nambe ka kare ne. We're like, oh Jesus Christ, listen to jazz theory, listen to something else. Right. So we are happy that the song has done so well, and like Tenny said, I think it wasn't the first time, Machang, that we experimented with Sinhalese, baila rhythms and percussion. We did that much before when the band started. In fact, one of the first articles we got, our first big show was at the Rock Cafe, Machang. I remember. We had 200 odd people, scared the living hell out of us because we thought only our friends would turn up for that show.
Right.
And we started that show with Last Resort, Papa Roach, Machang. Right? And we did Voodoo by Godsmack, and we played a couple of originals and all of that. Yeah. And I remember we did a instrumental, Machang, with a baila part and a papare part. And the journalist is actually an old Tomian, Shanaka Machan, Shanaka Amrasingh, who's also the man who first gave Stigmata any exposure on radio. He took our songs Fear and Redemption way before Hollow Dreams and Morbid Indiscretion, and gave it to TNL Radio Machan, to Tracy and Kishani, and they played it. And the article he wrote, he said, and I'll never forget it, he said, these guys have a long way to go. The singer has to work on his singing. These guys have to figure out what they're doing, how to tune their instruments.
Right.
It's good if they can find a drummer who can drum. And but one cool thing is, it'll be interesting to see where this so-called baila rock, baila metal thing can take them.
Right.
And that sentence, Machang, it kind of stuck with us and it stayed with us. And
Yes.
whenever we compose stuff, we always thought, okay, we don't have to go overkill and do it in every song. Like, you know how Sepultura are renowned, and they had a big influence on us, Machang, for having their Brazilian beats, Machang, and percussion, right?
Yes.
But they did it within limits, and they did other stuff. So even we felt, right, what we're doing, let's be the first Sri Lankan band, and let's be one of the first bands in the Asian region to be proud of our own sound. I'm not gonna sing in Sinhalese because I can't do that. Or Tamil because I can't do that. And they're both beautiful languages, but I am a guy who believes, Machan, that you have to sing stuff by learning the dialect properly. I don't come from this school of thought. Even yesterday, some people were saying, you know, I have an accent when I sing in Sinhalese. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want it to sound unauthentic. It has to sound proper, like it's coming properly. I love opera. I love singing theater stuff, Macha. I love people like Andrea Bocelli and Placido Domingo and Pavarotti and people like that. And I love it. Italian is one of my favorite languages. It's a very rich language. And of course, I like mafia movies. But I am not comfortable, Machan, to sing in Italian with Stigmata because it's not a natural thing, Machan. But musically, yes, we can do that because it is in our blood, Machan. Ape DNA ke tiyana, Machan, we have those baila beats, we have the Vannam rhythms, we have those arrangements, Machan, those Udarata Pada, all those things in us, Machan, right? Because we can go to a big match, any of us, any school, we go to a big match, Machan, or a cricket match, and we hear the Papa Rate gets us going after a few drinks, no, Machan.
Yes.
You think that is there in